All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 5G technology will bring positive changes in governance, ease of living and ease of doing business in the country. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal urges National Startup Advisory Council to focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to promote startups in those regions. Government allows some relaxation in wheat export ban. Home Minister Amit Shah says ensuring easy darshan for Amarnath pilgrims priority for Modi government. Supreme Court asks Varanasi District Magistrate to ensure protection of Shivling area in Gyan Vapi complex without hindering prayer. Next hearing tomorrow. President Ramnath Kovind addresses joint sitting of both houses of Jamaican Parliament. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur to inaugurate India Pavilion at Cannes Film Festival today says pavilion will focus on positioning India as content hub of the world. Nordic countries Sweden and Finland to jointly submit their applications to join NATO today. 3 Indian pugilists ensure medals for the country as they enter semi-finals of Women's World Boxing Championships in Istanbul. Bajrang Punia and Ravi Kumar Dahiya selected for Indian men's wrestling team for Commonwealth Games, and in IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad beat Mumbai Indians by 3 runs. As our nation celebrates its 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. Recalling our yesterday's question, name the freedom fighter who was popularly called Shere Kali Kumau, the Tiger of Kali Kumau, for his fearlessness and leadership skills. The correct answer is Harsh Dev Oli. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Vitthal Ramrauji Javalkar from Mitranagar, Nagpur in Maharashtra.
Myself, Vitthal Javalkar from Nagpur, Maharashtra. Lot of thanks to Akashvani Amrit Mahotsav quiz team. I have been listening AIR since my childhood. Amrit Mahotsav AIR quiz. This is an opportunity to cherish the national freedom movement as national broadcaster. AIR gives and buys the news around the world. I am very happy being a winner.
The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with the listeners on Monday, the 23rd of May. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the government has infused new energy in the telecom sector in the last 8 years with the Panchamrit of reach, reform, regulate, respond and revolutionize. Mr. Modi was addressing the Silver Jubilee celebration event of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India or TRAI through video conferencing in New Delhi. Mr. Modi said India's telecom sector is a great example of self-reliance, adding that the connectivity in 21st century India will determine the pace of progress of the nation. On the occasion, the Prime Minister also launched a 5G test bed and said this indigenous 5G testbed in the telecom sector is an important step in India's self-reliance. The Prime Minister added the 5G technology is a huge opportunity for startups to grow and test their products. The Prime Minister also said 5G will help in improving governance, ease of living and ease of doing business in the country. Describing the 2G era as the symbol of policy paralysis and corruption, Mr. Modi said the nation has moved transparently to 4G and now 5G. He asserted that the country should be able to launch 6G service by the end of this decade as the task force has started working on it.
कि आने वाले 1.5 दशक में 5G से भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था में $450 बिलियन का योगदान होने वाला है। ये सिर्फ इंटरनेट की गति नहीं बल्कि प्रगति और एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन की गति को भी बढ़ाने वाला है। इसलिए 5G तेजी से रोल आउट हो, इसके लिए सरकार और इंडस्ट्री दोनों को कलेक्टिव एफर्ट्स की जरूरत है। इस दशक के अंत तक हम 6G सर्विस बिल लॉन्च कर पाए, इसके लिए भी हमारी टास्क फोर्स काम करना शुरू कर चुकी है। हमारा प्रयास है कि टेलीकॉम सेक्टर और 5G टेक्नोलॉजी में हमारे स्टार्टअप तेजी से तैयार हो, ग्लोबल चैंपियन बने।
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has urged National Startup Advisory Council (NSAC) to focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities for VC funding, capacity building and awareness generation on government schemes that promote startups. He said this while chairing the 4th meeting of National Startup Advisory Council in New Delhi yesterday. The minister assured continued government support in developing startup ecosystem. He also emphasized on the need for capacity building and generating awareness about various initiatives of the government to promote startups in such cities. Members of the council have also been visiting states and interacting with startup entrepreneurs and students in educational institutions to understand and find ways to energize the startup ecosystem.
Government has announced some relaxation on wheat exports ban. It has been decided that wherever wheat consignments have been handed over to customs for examination and have been registered into their systems on or prior to 13th of this month, such consignments would be allowed to be exported. The centre has also allowed a wheat consignment headed for Egypt, which was already under loading at the Kandla port. This followed a request by the Egyptian government to permit the wheat cargo being loaded at the Kandla port. The government decided to permit the full consignment of over 61,000 MT and allowed it to sail from Kandla to Egypt. More than 180 lakh tons of wheat have been procured so far from 5 states in the Rabi marketing season 2022-2023. These states are Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Himachal Pradesh. Consumer Affairs Ministry said it has benefited 16,99,000 farmers with minimum support price value of 36,412 crore price. The ministry said paddy procurement is progressing smoothly in Kharif marketing season 2021-2022.
In yet another endeavour to ensure last-mile air connectivity, the Union Government is now focusing on encouraging air carriers to operate smaller aircraft, seaplanes and helicopters under the Small Aircraft Scheme. In an exclusive interview with All India Radio, Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said the country will witness many new routes under the scheme. Highlighting the merits of Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik Udan scheme, the Civil Aviation Minister said about 180,000 flights have been operated and around 95 lakh common people have travelled under the scheme so far. He said Udan is a huge leap forward in the direction of democratization of air travel envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Extremely ambitious program to increase connectivity and penetration to the last mile in India. Currently in India we have 144 million flyers, which talks about a penetration of around 9 to 10% of our total population. It was the Prime Minister's dream and his sankalp that we must democratize air travel, and therefore Udan is a huge leap forward towards that goal. Udan is a scheme that has started in 2016. As on date, we have close to about 419 operational routes through Udan, which never existed before.
Home Minister Amit Shah has said that it is the government's priority that the pilgrims coming for the Amarnath Yatra should have hassle-free darshan without facing any problems. Mr. Shah reviewed the preparations for Amarnath Yatra at a high-level meeting in New Delhi yesterday. He also directed that arrangements should be made for all essential facilities including movement, lodging, electricity, water, communication and health of the Amarnath Yatris. The minister said this is the first journey after the COVID-19 pandemic. He said that number of mobile towers should be increased on the Yatra route for better communication and dissemination of information. Mr. Shah instructed deployment of equipment to open the route immediately in case of landslides. He also directed to ensure that there should be adequate number of oxygen cylinders, medical beds, ambulances and helicopters to deal with any emergency medical situations.
Supreme Court has asked the Varanasi District Magistrate to protect the area where the Shivling was found without impeding the right of Muslims to enter and worship. The court will hear the matter again tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Varanasi court has removed Advocate Commissioner Ajay Kumar Mishra from his post. Mishra was responsible for the filming and carrying out the survey of the Kashi Vishwanath Temple Gyanvapi Mosque complex. The court also granted 2 days extension for the submission of the committee's survey report. Earlier on Monday, the Varanasi court directed the district administration to seal the spot in the mosque complex where a shivling was found during the videography survey. The Supreme Court was hearing a plea by the Committee of Management of Anjuman Intizamiya Masjid Varanasi challenging the videography survey ordered by a local court of the Marsh Shringar Gauri Sthal in the complex. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 5G technology will bring positive changes in governance, ease of living and ease of doing business in the country. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal urges National Startup Advisory Council to focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to promote startups in those regions. Government allows some relaxation wheat export ban. Home Minister Amit Shah says ensuring easy darshan for Amarnath pilgrims priority for Modi government. Supreme Court asked Varanasi District Magistrate to ensure protection of Shivling area in Gyanvapi complex without hindering prayer. Next hearing tomorrow. President Ramnath Kovind addresses joint sitting of both houses of Jamaican Parliament. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur to inaugurate India Pavilion at Cannes Film Festival today. Says Pavilion will focus on positioning India as content hub of the world. Nordic countries Sweden and Finland to jointly submit their applications to join NATO today. 3 Indian pugilists ensure medals for the country as they enter semi-finals of Women's World Boxing Championships in Istanbul. Bajrang Punia and Ravi Kumar Dahiya selected for Indian men's wrestling team for Commonwealth Games. And in IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad beat Mumbai Indians by 3 runs. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। इस बार का विषय है एंथ्रोपोलॉजी और सवाल भेजने की अंतिम तारीख है 18 मई। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर
8700014242।
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. President Ramnath Kovind addressed the joint sitting of both houses of Jamaican Parliament last night. He was accorded a ceremonial welcome by President of Senate of Jamaica, Thomas Tavares Finson, and Speaker of the House, Marisa Dalrymple. President Kovind appraised the Parliament of the technological developments where India is taking the lead. He made special reference of how the education sector of India is progressing.
The Indian diaspora is a living bridge between our two countries. It is a matter of pride for us that members of the Indian diaspora are recognized at the highest level for their contribution to Jamaica. We are very proud of the achievements of the Indian community in Jamaica. Some of you have risen to the highest government offices in Jamaica. I have been informed that many of you have been conferred with distinctions and honored by the government here.
President Kovind said India shares Jamaica's Vision 2030 goals of empowering its people and ensuring a secure, cohesive and just society while becoming a prosperous and sustainable economy. He said there is immense scope for cooperation and mutual learning between the two nations, including business, railways, agriculture, hospitality and tourism. President Kovind said the relations between the two nations prosper together and reach new heights. India has appointed Naveen Shrivasiv as its new ambassador to Nepal. Mr. Shrivasiv is currently Additional Secretary in the External Affairs Ministry. He is expected to take up the assignment shortly.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember patriot poet Mukund Das, who died on the 18th of May 1934. Through his writings, Das contributed to the spread of the Swadeshi movement in rural Bengal.
Mukund Das was born on the 22nd of February 1878 in Munshiganj district, now in Bangladesh. When he was 7, the family migrated to Borishal, where they settled permanently. Das grew up listening to Vaishnav bhajans from his father and began to compose and sing songs on his own. He was initiated into the nationalist movement by Bengali educationist and patriot Ashwini Kumar Datta. In 1900, Das took initiation in Vaishnavism from the monk Rasanand Thakur.
In 1905, Ashwini Kumar Datta gave an inspiring speech at the Borishal town hall against the proposed partition of Bengal. Datta wished that messages from the leaders could be carried to the villages through dramas and plays. Mukund Das was deeply moved by Ashwini Kumar Datta's speech. He resolved to fulfill the wish of the great patriot. Within 3 months, he composed his masterpiece, Matra Puja. The primary theme of his drama was patriotism and freedom movement.
Das raised a Swadeshi theatre group to stage plays across the villages of Bengal. In 1906, Mukund Das staged his plays at different places of Borishal and then travelled to Noakhali and Tripura.
Matra Puja successfully ran for 2 years and roused the patriotic feelings of the masses of Bengal. The play was further popularized by the press. Bande Mataram, Yugantar, Sandhya, Nobashakti, Prabasi and Modern Review played a part in popularizing the drama. The government of newly formed Eastern Bengal and Assam clamped down heavily on the play, citing incitement to violence. In 1908, he was stopped by the police when he tried to stage the play in Bagarhat. Mukund Das was arrested and imprisoned for 3 years on charges of sedition.
Mukund Das joined the non-cooperation movement. When the movement was called off, Mukund Das settled with his group in Kolkata. Matra Puja was banned by the government and he began to compose social plays in order to avoid being banned. In 1932, the government banned all his plays. After the ban, Das was restricted to singing only. He, along with his group, performed only musical shows.
His last on the 18th of May 1934. The immense collection of his writings continue to inspire Indians through decades. We salute the great nationalist.
आरंभ है प्रचंड बोल मस्तकों के झुंड आज जंग की घड़ी की तुम गुहार दो.
We also remember Martyr Ghaur Khan. who participated in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. He was caught by company troops in the course of their attacks. He was sentenced to transportation for life with labour in iron in 1857 and sent from Bombay to the Andaman Islands in April 1858. He was caught by the British at the time of his escape from their detention and hanged on the 18th of May 1858. We salute the great son of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In the flood-hit Assam, the Army, National Disaster Response Force, NDRF, and State Disaster Response Force, SDRF, are pressed into rescue operations. The state government has also asked the Indian Air Force to airdrop essential food items in the worst-hit Dima Hasao district by today. Over 4 lakh people are affected due to floods and landslides in 26 districts, while 8 persons lost their lives. About 40,000 people are shifted to temporary relief camps. Dima Hasao, Hojai and Barak Valley are the worst affected areas. We have more from our correspondent.
Assam Chief Secretary Jishnu Borwa held a review meeting with senior officials in Guwahati on the flood situations at Dima Hasao, Hojai and Barak Valley. The meeting asked NHAI to restore road communication between Guwahati to Haflong for uninterrupted food supply. Surging water hugely damaged roads, river embankments, bridges and cropland. Meanwhile, North-East Frontier Railway said that massive landslides in over 50 locations spreading all over the Lamding-Badarpul Hill section has completely disrupted the rail communication. The railway is working on war footing to restore rail connectivity. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Guwahati.
Home Minister Amit Shah has expressed concern about the situation in the wake of heavy rainfall in parts of Assam. He spoke to Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma to take stock of the situation. In a tweet, Mr. Shah said NDRF teams have already been deployed. He assured all possible help from the central government.
Speaking to All India Radio, IMD Director General M. Mohapatra said that under western disturbances over northwest India, the day temperature has been slightly reduced and heat wave condition will be abated from 18th of May.
Under the influence of the western disturbance passing over northwest India, there has been fall in day temperature and heat wave condition has abated over the northwest India and west central India, which was prevailing from 8th of May. The temperature nearby to normal condition will continue for next 3 days, and thereafter again temperature is likely to rise from Rajasthan gradually. We are expecting heavy to very heavy rainfall over northeastern state for next 3 days, and also isolated heavy rainfall over southern parts of the country, especially Kerala. The southeast monsoon has advanced into many parts of Andaman Sea, Andaman Islands, Nicobar Island, and some parts of South Bay of Bengal. We are expecting further advance some more parts of Bay of Bengal and remaining parts of Andaman Sea and Andaman Nicobar Island during the next 2 days.
In Kerala, the IMD has issued an orange alert in 7 northern districts indicating the possibility of isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall today. According to the IMD, the districts of Thrissur, Palakkad, Malappuram, Kozhikode, Wayanad, Kannur and Kasaragod districts are likely to receive heavy to very heavy rainfall. A yellow alert has been issued in the districts of Allappuzha, Kottayam, Idukki and Ernakulam and in Lakshadweep Islands. After e-bike, e-car and e-bus in the country, now the dream of e-train is also going to come true. Western Central Railway has developed a battery-operated dual-mode locomotive named Navdut. This engine runs on both modes, that is battery and electricity. Currently it is being used during shunting of trains at Jabalpur, Mudwara and other stations on a trial basis. More from our correspondent.
This e-engine can pull 18 coaches at a speed of 30 km per hour. It has 84 batteries and has a capacity to pull 400 tons at present. Chief Public Relations Officer of West Central Railway, Rahul Jaipuria, told AIR that this innovation has been performed by the Electric Department of New Katni Junction.
इस लोकोमोटिव की खास बात यह है कि ये दोनों ही एरियाज में काम करता है, मतलब जहाँ पे बिजली के तार हैं और जहाँ बिजली के तार नहीं है. अगर बिजली के तार नहीं है तो ये बैटरी मोड में काम करता है, तो आपको डीजल की आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ती, तो प्रदूषण भी कम होता है और डीजल पे खर्चा भी कम होता है.
This dual mode locomotive has also received the Best Innovation Award from the Railway Board. Railways will save 1,000 litres of diesel every day by this new locomotive. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Nordic countries, Sweden and Finland, will jointly submit their applications to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, today. During a joint press conference, Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson and Finnish President Sauli Niinisto announced their decision to submit their NATO bids together.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur will inaugurate India Pavilion at the Cannes Film Festival in France today. He said India Pavilion will focus on positioning India as a content hub of the world. In a newspaper article, the minister wrote that India's presence at Cannes this year holds significance in many ways. He said it will be for the first time that India's red carpet lineup captures the diversity of countries' cinematic excellence. In IBA Women's World Boxing Championships, Indian boxers Nikat Zareen, Manisha and Parveen continued their brilliant run to confirm 3 medals for the country by entering the semi-finals in Istanbul yesterday. Nikat Zareen beat England's Charlie Davidson 5-0 in the quarter-finals. She will now take on Caroline de Almeida of Brazil in the semi-finals. Manisha defeated Moncor of Mongolia 4-1. She will take on Italy's Irma Testa, who defeated Uzbekistan's Sitora Turdibikova in another quarter-final.
Tokyo Olympic medalists Bajrang Punia and Ravi Kumar Dahiya made it into the Indian men's wrestling team for the Commonwealth Games. They are among 6 wrestlers who were selected at the trials for the senior freestyle wrestling held in New Delhi yesterday. The trials for the Indian women's wrestling team were held on Monday. Sakshi Malik and Vinesh Phogat made the cut for the Commonwealth Games. The Commonwealth Games 2022 will be held in Birmingham, UK from 28th of July to 8th of August this year. In the Thailand Open Badminton Tournament, Indian shuttlers Malvika Bansod and Ashmita Chaliha advanced to the women's singles main draw after winning their respective qualifiers at Bangkok yesterday.
In IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad defeated Mumbai Indians by 3 runs at the Wankhede Stadium, Mumbai last night. Put into bat first, Hyderabad posted a total of 193 runs for 6 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs. In reply, Mumbai could score 190 for 7 in 20 overs with the help of skipper Rohit Sharma's 48. And now an overview of today's newspapers. All the dailies have mentioned the Apex Court's order on Gyanvapi Mosque. The Tribune quotes the Supreme Court, protect area where shivling found, but allow Muslims to offer namaz. The Hindu rights advocate removed from panel for leaking information to the media. A front page story in Hindustan Times says, bad air caused over 6.6 million premature deaths in 2019. India hardest hit with 1.6 fatalities. As Amit Shah reviews security for smooth Amarnath pilgrimage, the Pioneer reports RFID tag, 5 lakh rupees insurance, fast mobile link for hassle-free Amarnath Yatra. The Economic Times notes the CII president pitching for a cut in taxes on petroleum products to cool down inflation and for GST-like bodies for energy and labor. And finally, the Times of India has a story noting India emerging as the 5th largest country in terms of international visitors to the US in 2021, despite the Delta variant wave, and the 3rd biggest spenders as overseas visitors in America.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 5G technology will bring positive changes in governance, ease of living and ease of doing business in the country. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal urges National Startup Advisory Council to focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to promote startups in those regions. Government allows some relaxation in wheat export ban. Home Minister Amit Shah says ensuring easy darshan for Amarnath pilgrims priority for Modi government. Supreme Court asks Varanasi District Magistrate to ensure protection of Shivling area in Gyanvapi complex without hindering prayer. Next hearing tomorrow. President Ramnath Kovind addresses joint sitting of both houses of Jamaican Parliament. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur to inaugurate India Pavilion at Cannes Film Festival today, says pavilion to focus on positioning India as content hub of the world. Nordic countries, Sweden and Finland, to jointly submit their applications to join NATO today. And in IPL cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad beat Mumbai Indians by 3 runs. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.